All right, so we're gonna try to be doing some what's going on this week at Boudreaus Automotive or something like that. We'll see how it goes. So first thing we're working on this week is a clutch on this automatically shifted Ford. These Fords have, even though it's an automatic, they actually have a clutch just like your regular standard vehicle or manual transmission vehicle. So the nice thing about it is that this customer in particular had he had a worn clutch, B, he had some leakage. I'm going to try to include a picture of the leakage from the seal. There's actually a TSB on these for the leaking seal, ruining the friction materials in these. So he had a twofold problem, but the nice thing about Ford is that they're pretty good and they give you the whole clutch kit here. So you get the new clutch assembly. You get your release forks. It doesn't actually come with this guy, but I actually ended up getting it for him because you can see this one's nice and smooth, but this one's a little bit crunchy. So I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up, but I wanted to replace it while we were here. So that's that. It's pretty complicated on these, but as long as you follow the procedure, the service material, it goes pretty easy, and you got to have all these special tools. To go with it. So if you've never done one of these, just keep that in mind. And then that's it, really. We're gonna, we have it all buttoned up and all back together. Everything's spinning nice and free. We threw some new actuators on there for them because you can see one of them was a little weather beaten. So we'll replace those for them too, and get this thing all back together and get them out of here. All right, we got the Focus all buttoned up, ready to go. We actually already took it for a test drive, but we just knocked out an oil change on it. And what else? Oh,
spark plugs.
Noah did some spark plugs on there.
Fuel induction service.
Fuel induction service. So yeah, so this thing is driving really smooth, really nice. So we're really happy there. So just wrapping this one up. Another thing we did have to do on this, just while we're talking about it, is this tool here. Let me show you guys here. This cheap Chinese little thing broke. Has a forcing screw to pull off of it, and after a while, after using it for a while, it cracks right here. So I had to weld that back together. But other than that, pretty gravy, pretty easy job. And these are all the parts on it left over. Oh, this is why we had to do a tune-up on it. Look at that guy. I don't know if it's gonna focus in on that, but she's pretty worn out. So that's it. Thanks for watching. All right, Noah, what you working on here?
Working on this 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Doing some rocker arms and lifters.
Why are we doing rocker arms and lifters?
The customer came in for a ticking noise, so we pulled the valve covers off, kind of barred the engine over, felt all the cams. Didn't find any scoring on the cams at all. We kept turning, no scoring. So a customer opted to just do rocker arms and lifters. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so we already put these are new rocker arms, and the lifters sit right underneath here. Like he mentioned, these camshafts will get pretty scored on the lobes from getting beat on these roller lifters when they get a lot of play in them. This one wasn't the case, so we didn't have to do that. In case y'all are wondering why it makes that tapping noise, these are the lifters here. They're hydraulic lifters, and you can see this one here. See how it squishes down, nice. And then you get one of this, another one that from the rear. Usually they do it on the rear more. Let's see it squishing down pretty good there, and it won't. They just get jammed up. So So what happens is then the rocker arm, show me how that rocker arm sits on that lifter. So it sits there like that, and it starts just tapping on it because it doesn't roll well. So that's what we're doing there. We got this thing all pretty much done. Everything is all done there, but you know, we just figured we'd show y'all because it is kind of interesting how that guy works there. The tool that we used is over here. You just kind of set everything in time, jam the tensioners in all the way on here, and it works pretty good. That way you don't have to take off the whole timing set and everything like that. So he got it all torqued up. So how'd that snap-on torque wrench work for you?
Shoot, like butter.
Yeah, you got to use one of these tech angles because they torque to degrees, 45 degrees after you turn them. So you got to use the tech angle, you know, unless you some other or just any. It doesn't have to be a snap-on, but something that can do angle. Angle is really huge on this kind of stuff. But that's it. We'll just throw the valve covers on here, and this thing will be right as rain. All right, so we got this this Jeep all finished up, back together. Went pretty cake. So we got all the rockers on them, put it all back together, and then we knocked out an oil change because the oil was pretty dirty. So no, we want to go ahead and start it. So she purrs nice and sweet, no more ticking. It had a pretty bad tick, 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 you know, noise. So it we got it kind of where we want it now. So we're pretty happy about that. Noah's happy to have the thing done, right? Yeah. We'll deliver this to the customer. Customer will also be happy. So just thought we'd share that with you guys. These are kind of daunting to do the first time, but really not a huge deal. Chrysler does have to get their act together and start, you know, warranting more of these, but you know, for the time being, we're happy to keep on knocking them out. All right, this is going to be the last installment on what's going on in the shop this week. This is kind of a weird one, so just stay with me here. This customer brought this car in yesterday because he tried to do a tune-up himself on this on the back bank, and when he pulled out the coils, as I'm sure you know, he ripped off these the end of the boots inside there. He took it to another shop to try to get them to pull these out for him. They tried and they couldn't get them off because they're way back in there. I don't know if you guys have done these before. I mean, they're way back in there underneath this plenum and back there. So I was able to pull them out for him. I got all three out because he ripped all three. And then he said that's all he wanted us to do, so he picked up his car, or he towed his car home and tried to finish the tune-up. However, he then calls me and tells me that he put it all back together and then forgot that there was some blue rags in the plenum, or in the lower intake. I guess he stuffed some blue rags in there. So he tows it back to me and asks me to just somehow pull those rags off. I told him I have to pull off this plenum. So anyway, we're going to go back in there and see what's going on with that and see what it's going to take to pull those blue rags. Hopefully they won't get shoved down too far. But we'll do that, and then he asked me to put this all back together, which would be a nice little treasure hunt, trying to find all these hoses where everything goes. We'll knock it out. I'll keep you posted when we pull out this plenum, and I'll go from there. All right, so Noah got this plenum off of there for us. And then, yeah, we looked in there, and sure enough, it looks like he pulled the rags out of these front two cylinders. But there's also, like, so he got these ones right there, but then he left, you can see there's a rag in there. Right there, and then there's also a rag in these other two. So what we'll do, there's another rag right there. We're just gonna pull them out for him, put it all back together, and then I guess we'll just, he wants us to put the rest of it back together and fire it up. So we'll see what else we can find on there. It looks like somebody already kind of did some modifications and left some of these bolts out. So we'll try to find as many of these little Easter eggs as we can and put it all back together as best we can. And hopefully we will get this thing roaring by the end of the day. Alright, so Noah just got back from his test drive. Said the thing ran how?
Beautifully.
Beautifully. So luckily that's all it was. He just had these rags in his. Luckily he remembered. That would have been pretty bad if he had forgotten and just started it, sucked them in there. All right, so that's it. There's always something interesting going on over here at Boudreaus, but we like the challenge.